welcome to our Unit 1 Week 1 sight words. Make sure that you have your sight word mat ready to go with your marker and eraser, and follow along with me with our 5 words this week. Our first word that we have is the word a. Like in the sentence, we see a cat on the mat. So make sure that you write A up here, and we'll draw a little heart and we'll talk about it. So write the word A at the top. When I say the word A, I hear just one sound. A. One more time. A. Because I hear one sound in the word A, I am only going to use one box when I graph it. So A is spelled with, that's right, the letter A. A. But the reason that there's a heart is because this word, this letter in this word is saying its name. So this letter, the letter A, is saying A. So here we have the word A. So at the bottom, we are going to write it 2 times. A. And then again, the A is saying its name. A. And make sure you sound out any word whenever we write it, just to help your brain remember it easier. So one more time. A. And then A, and the word A is saying A. A. Now, before we move on to the next one, this is your time to erase. So I can go ahead and erase with you. So I am going to click erase all. Boop, 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 boop. So I erased everything, and I'm going on to my next word. You can always pause the video if you need to. Our next word here is the word I. Like in the sentence, I am sad. I. So make sure that you write the word I at the top, and I notice that there's a heart, and we'll talk about that. So I. When I say I hear just one sound. I. Now you do it with me. I. Because there's only one sound, we're only going to use one box. So I, that sound is spelled with the letter, that's right, it's spelled with the letter I. But the letter I here, it's not saying I, it's saying I. So this letter is saying its name. So it's saying its name in the word I. So let's go ahead and write I together at the bottom. Remember to sound it out while you write it. I. And then I is doing what? It's saying its name. Say I. One more time. I. I is doing what? It's saying its name. I. I. Now again, before we move on, we are going to erase. The cool thing with mine is that I can just click this and everything is gone. But you just make sure you erase everything before we move on to the next word. Here, the next word is. Is. Like in the sentence, she is little. Is. Once again, write is at the top. I, S, and I notice that there's a heart above the S, so we'll talk about that. Now, when I say is, I hear I, Z. I hear 2 sounds. One more time. I, Z. Is. 2 sounds means 2 boxes. The first sound is I, and I is spelled with the letter I. It's the short I. I. The second sound, Z. I. Z. But z is spelled with the letter Z, but in this word, we're actually spelling it with the letter S. Because we're spelling it with the letter S and not the letter Z, we draw a heart. That is the part that we need to remember, that in the word is, the S is making that Z sound. Is. So let's go ahead and write it at the bottom. Once again, sound it out with us, or with me. I. That's an I, short I. I. Z, not a Z, a letter S. So we have to remember the S is saying Z. Again, I. That's an I. Z, not the letter Z, but the letter S. Is. Wait, don't forget to erase. I almost forgot to erase. So let's erase before we move. You got your eraser. You're erasing everything. I just click a button and I'm good to go. The next word we have is his. His. Like in the sentence, his cat is fat. His. So go ahead and write his at the top. If you ever need to pause the video, you just pause it and press play so you don't feel like you're running behind. So we have his, H-I-S, his. And there's a heart above the S, so I wonder why. When I sound out his, I hear h, I, z. I hear I, z. I hear 3 sounds. So that means 3 boxes when we graph it. The first sound is spelled with, that's right, it's spelled with the letter H. The second sound, I, is spelled with the letter I, and it's a short I. His, I, z. I hope you thought about it, that this is the same word like is, where the S is saying Z, but it's not a Z, it's the letter S. So what do we have to draw? A heart. And it's cool because if you can read the word is, then you can read the word his. So let's go ahead and write his at the bottom. Sound it out. That's the letter H. I. That's the letter I, short I. His, not a Z, but an S. His. One more time. That's the letter H. I. That's a short I. His, not a Z, but an S. His. Now we're going to erase, but I just click erase all, but you just erase with your eraser. If you need to pause, you pause before we move on to our last word. The last word that we have here is the word see. See, like in the sentence, can you see me? See. So go ahead and write C at the top, S-E-E. I noticed that the E-E has a heart, and we are going to talk about that. So C. When I sound out C, I hear S-E. Again, S-E. I hear 2 sounds in C, but I see 3 letters in C. So let's get into it. The first sound is S. That's spelled with the letter S. Nothing that we need to remember. In English alphabet, S makes that sound, not a Z sound in this word, so no heart for it. But when I say the second sound, E, I just hear 1 sound, E, but I see 2 letters. So we're going to write those 2 E's in one box because these 2 E's make the E sound. It just says E. But we haven't learned this yet, which is why it has a heart. So C, like a, let me show you. like a bee. You know, when you have a little bumblebee. I'm going to draw my little bumblebee right here. The word bee, like a bumblebee, has two E's. So C, B. So let's go ahead and write the word C at the bottom. So we hear S, which is the letter S, and then we hear E, which is spelled with two E's. So let's draw that heart. Two E's. We have to remember that. One more time. S, E. Again, two E's. And what do we have to do? A heart, because we have to remember that. C. And that's it. We did all our 5 words for Unit 1, Week 1. Make sure that you erase your mat so it doesn't get stuck. And I will see you next week for Unit 1, Week 2. Bye.